meaning the damned. She in the doorway, see them again. That clean white pair had a 3-year plan. Oops, capital Z, radical you in the cut.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews today. Here to do the new Aesop Rock album, Skelethon. This is the Aesop Rock. Guy's been around for a while. He's come out with a lot of albums. And this latest release is, you know, kind of in that same vein as the other records he's put out. Tom, what do you think about Skelethon?
I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
It was a grower for me. At first I was kind of like, it was a lot to take in because this is very aggressive. We've had a lot of very good aggressive hip-hop releases this year.
2012 has been an awesome hip-hop year.
It really has. I mean, like, there are a bunch of hip-hop records that are going to show up on my favorites list.
Sure.
But I mean, there's lots of similarities to LP, which we reviewed recently, and he was actually on LP's label, and there's actually a bunch of complications with that, big story behind it that I'm not going to get into, but you do have some similarities there, only here this is much more sample oriented. The big sampled beats that kind of harken back to actually early ages of hip hop, but then with that more modern, aggressive, very succinct and sharp delivery. But really the reason this album was a grower for me is because I feel like there are so many layers to peel apart, both in the lyrics, the theming, and in the sound itself. There's a variety of instrumentation. They're very progressive song structures. I love that the hooks kind of sneak up on you. They don't fall into where you think like a chorus hook would be given a traditional like pop format. Sometimes you won't even hear them till like midway through the song. But then once it's done, it's stuck in your head, and you're like, was that even the chorus? Was it? I don't know.
I just like the general intensity of the sound. You know, it has a lot of energy to it, a lot of, you know, aggressiveness, as you were saying. And I feel like when rap music has that in it, you just naturally are paying more attention to what's going on, as long as it's not overdone. Tom, keep going.
I didn't think it was overdone here. And that's what I really liked about it, is that this is a guy who, you know, in this modern world of hip-hop where half the time it's people just stroking their own egos, talking about how cool they are, I feel like this guy, you could tell, for Aesop Rock, this stuff meant the world to him. What he's saying, he puts his heart into it. And this whole album, you know, it addresses a lot of the turmoil that's been going on in his life in recent years. But it does so in almost kind of like a dark comedy kind of way. Like you're almost laughing and enjoying it, but at the same time kind of like cringing on the inside just because it's almost difficult, because it's so like dark. But what really seals the deal for me is in the very last track, which I actually don't think was one of the best tracks, but right at the end, he just goes on this monologue that he's just spitting it, and he just lets it all out. And that spot right there really sealed the deal for me, because it said that all of this stuff that he's been kind of playing around with the whole album, he is serious about. That was really the clincher for me. Like wow, that's when I knew. And then going back and listening to it again, having that in mind, the rest of the album made a little more sense to me.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think the lyrics are kind of crucial to really getting in and understanding that album. And it wasn't until I started listening a little closer to the lyrics that I actually felt like, you know, that this album, I felt like I attached to it a little bit more, because that, I think, is where a lot of Aesop's Rock true art and talent is. And then the other is just his fantastic delivery. This guy, he can just spit it out. And it is, it's just really addicting to listen to, because he's just doing, you know, rapping in such a manner that you don't hear very often. The only other artist I can think of that can rap on the same level as Eminem. And really, I would prefer Aesop Rock and his lyrics over Eminem's style and his lyrics, because Eminem, I think a lot of his lyrics are garbage, whereas Aesop Rock is actually rapping about something, and that to me is crucial.
There's a lot to uncover in his lyrics.
For sure.
I mean, every time I listen to this, I would pick up on like several more like musical references of all kinds of genres that he works in there. And sometimes he does it in kind of a punny way, but it doesn't come off as cheesy like, I'm sorry, Lil Wayne does to me.
For sure.
He's not trying to make a joke out of it and go da-dum psh. Like he just kind of slips it in there very subtly. I liked that.
You know, there was a couple things though that did bother me. I felt like, I mean, when I put this thing on, I really liked the front half. I felt like the back half, with the exception of the track Grace, was not quite as strong as the front half. I thought Grace was fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, that's the highlight of the back half for me.
But I felt like most of the energy was in the first few tracks, with my highlights being, you know, ZZZ Top, Zero Dark 30, which there's a video for on our webpage. I just really like those tracks, and you know, some of the other tracks in that front half. The other thing is, I really felt like he relied on the chorus as well. Tom, you made a really good point about how he structured the songs in a way that you never see the choruses coming. But when they do, I feel like they're a little bit bland. Maybe that adds contrast for the really intense verses, but I'm just kind of on the fence, I think, sometimes with some of the choruses, that maybe they were just used a little too often and didn't add enough value to really justify having, you know, so many of them. That's a very minor criticism, though, because I don't really think that hindered my listening experience all that much. Overall, I like this. Anything else you noted in this?
Not really. I just think it's another solid rap release and a great year for the genre.
Yeah, it's great, and this is a really enjoyable one. I think that I just didn't, it didn't light me on fire, you know, kind of like LP did. I really liked LP's record this year. I think I like this one a little bit less. I'm settling at an 80 for this one.
I'm going 84.
So low 80s. We really like this album. This is definitely, you know, on one of the top 5 hip hop albums this year. And, sad to say that pretty soon we're gonna have, you know, if this is in the top 5, we can even say it's like one of the top. Like in other years, this would be the best hip hop album. And I mean, so many good hip hop albums have come out. So if you guys have listened to Skelethon, please let us know what you guys thought. Leave us a comment, www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. As always, I say it in every review. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. That's where we get to hear from you guys. And you guys, your voice is important to us and influences what we do on a daily basis. So reach out to us and talk to us about whatever you want to talk about. All the music that you're listening to. We love it. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
He's at the door just now. Kids on dirt bikes asking you to bunny hop the curbside. Yup, I told him I'll be busy. He's staring at his green beans being a total pussy.